Welcome to the Hustle and Honey podcast, where we explore the sweetness, struggle, and success of running your own business. We're your co-hosts, Jen
and Meesh.
Welcome to episode 1. Okay.
It's just us today, because this is where we're starting.
We're starting
with us.
Just start somewhere.
So I feel like the first thing that we want to talk about is just what our vision is for the pod.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you want to go first. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
Hey Meesh, what's your vision for the pod?
Yeah. What do you see happening here?
I think for me, obviously, we've done, as like a little quick backstory, Jen and I have done countless projects together over the past 12 years.
Oh my gosh,
We've known each other for a really long time.
Yeah.
We've been friends for a really long time.
Yeah, at least a decade.
We've hosted like make your own kombucha workshops, and we've vended a ton of events together throughout various businesses over time.
Yes.
And we are just, we're good partners in business and projecting. So
yes.
This felt like a really natural thing, and also something that we've both been wanting to do for a long time. So why not use the support of the buddy system to do it together?
Yes, I love buddy systems.
I think my what I'm wanting from the experience is similar to what you want, but a little bit different. Just in that I've had tons of businesses over time, and none of them have really hit it. That's not true. I feel like my soap business
true. I still am begging you to bring back the soap.
Yeah.
Next time we'll discuss if we can get Meesh to bring back the soap.
I ended up just doing it on my own, and it became too much for me. And so instead of asking for help or outsourcing or figuring out how I could solve the problem, I just shut it down. And at a younger time where I was totally scared. It's also a pattern I'm trying to undo currently.
Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about all the patterns on this podcast.
Oh,
it's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So throughout time, I've done a lot of business trainings and workshops and seminars and things like that. And I feel like the business inspo or advice that I've always heard is multiple things. But one is find people who have what you want and do what they do. And then that if you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, when it comes to business, it would make most sense then to surround yourself with people who are doing better than you are, so that you can learn and grow from them. And currently I don't have that. So for me, a big inspiration of doing this is to really start to create that environment for myself and for us in which we're surrounded by successful people all the time, because I think that is a huge energetic piece that helps push things forward. And also community building has been a huge thing for me the past couple of years, especially during and post-pandemic. We're post-pandemic now, right?
We can say we're post-pandemic.
Yeah, we're post-pandemic now. And I feel like that is a huge element that's been missing for me. And I think that's been missing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And creating that has proven to be difficult to build consistency with people. And so not only do I want, more friends and new friends but to have that support of, community of people who are doing maybe not even the exact same thing as you, but are in business.
Yeah. To
have people to look towards and ask questions. And I just want to learn from people, and I love hearing people's stories. So I feel like I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Jen, what's your vision for the podcast?
I love everything you said, and I do think it is very similar. We've obviously talked about that, which is why we wanted to start this together. I think that for me, one of the biggest things that I really wanted to do with this podcast is to learn from others and to build my community, because I do feel like so many industries, like you said, a little bit of my backstory is I've had many different businesses. So I had my apparel company, and I've done photography, and I'm still very into my photography, and I'm doing henna and art, and I just kind of jump around. But within each of those things, it's I'm building a new community each time. And I would really like to have all of my community kind of come together and have that where it's just one giant massive network of people that I know and love and work with. And I want to share their stories, because I do think that learning from other people's success and their struggles is the thing that helps us progress and like just do better in our own lives. And I also think that there's something for the compassion of like hearing somebody else's story and like also appreciating what they have now. And so there's that too. But like, yeah, like community over competition has always been one of my favorite hashtags. Like I'm all about that. And then also when you were saying like the success situation with the people around you, it's like, I've always heard like you want to be the least successful person in the room. And like, even if that means like you don't say anything, you just sit down, shut up and like listen. But like, yeah, surround yourself with people who are doing better than you, because that's how you're going to learn. And it might feel scary and it might be overwhelming to like not really know what you're doing. But like, that's the only way you do it is to just start somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what I see for it. And yeah, I just really want to meet more people in more diverse areas of life than not just my bubble. And so I feel like this was a really fun way to do that, to kind of get to know new people. And like, we have another co-host, Amber, and she'll be on the next episode with me. But like getting to know different people and hearing their stories and like, I just think it's going to be so fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited. I also feel like there's that piece of, like when you said community over competition, it just made me think of that thing. Like sometimes, we were just talking about how sometimes on podcasts that we listen to, you always hear about the stories of people's success and how they made it and how they're doing like so amazing and like where they're at now. And all of that is awesome, but it's not always super relatable. Like, you and I both know there's always times where we're doing super well and then times where it's like, ugh, like what is happening?
Why is this happening?
Why is it so hard? And like on social media, which is a huge platform that people are like a part of and sharing their lives and their businesses, it's all the highlight reels. It's all the good stuff.
And I will say like it has been a little bit more like that buzzword of like authenticity or being authentic has come through a little bit more, which I appreciate. But even still to this day, I know business owners who are dealing with certain little tiny struggles and they won't post about it and they won't share that struggle, even though it totally could help somebody else if they just said like, oh, this is so annoying that I'm dealing with this. And like, I wish that this was like easier. I wish that I knew the answer. Like they could get help. They could get answers from their community, but they like don't want to like look bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like not about that. So like I'll post whatever I want, whenever I want, but
like fake it till you make it. I'm like,
no.
Like, yeah, like want for yourself to have it and like take all the action necessary, but like fake it. Why?
Yeah, no, I can't fake it. I can't fake it.
I can't either. I'm so bad at that.
It's not a thing I have in me.
It reminds me of, I feel like we were talking about this too last time we met for coffee, that if you see a bunch of other people doing the thing that you're doing, instead of being like discouraged, like, oh, well, I shouldn't do this because there's a bunch of other people who are already doing it, to be like, oh, if other people are doing it, then this must be something that people want and need. And so how can I bring myself and my own creativity and my vibe into that space to share myself and my gifts with people too? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a huge part of it too, because a lot of times probably we'll be talking with people who are in similar businesses or do similar things. There's not a lot of like totally original and unique business ideas out there.
There's really not.
But it's like, who are you and like what are you bringing to this space?
Because nobody can be you and nobody can do exactly what you do the way you do it. And that's why, especially with like photography too, it's like you're not just getting your picture taken, you're like hanging out with that person, right? Like we're having a conversation, we're having an interaction, we're having an experience, and I happen to take your picture. And so you could get that with anybody, but like we get to hang out, I'm your person, and then that feels like there's more of an established connection happening there. Yeah. And I think that's true for any business, is like you want to hire somebody where you have a human connection with. Yeah, because I could buy t-shirts from anyone, I could buy coffee from anyone, I could buy, but I like you, so I'll buy from you, you know? And so I think that is another component of that. Don't get jealous, just offer your own personal experience.
God, and with photos too, it's like whoever you are and how you're connecting with that person, like you're bringing out something in them that you're capturing in moments that somebody else probably wouldn't.
Yeah, for sure. We could talk more about that another time, but yeah, I got lots of thoughts on photos. But yeah, I don't know, what else do you want to share about this? I guess I kind of would like to hear a little bit of we kind of touched on that for a second, but I would like to hear a little bit of who you are and your backstory and like what you're doing now, just so that people can get to know like us kind of, and why we even feel like we have the right to speak on ownerships of businesses and things like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I did kind of touch on it a little bit, but How far back should we go?
How far? Tell me about your first business.
So it all started, and so when I was growing up, my mom was always very entrepreneurial. Like she always had little side hustles and businesses, and she like co-owned a couple of franchises, but then always was like, oh, on the side, I'm going to start this cake decorating business, or I'm going to start this catering business, or so I always was around that and saw that.
The entrepreneurial spirit.
Totally. I also learned some bad habits from that, which is like that idea that you constantly have to be like working and hustling and like draining yourself to make it work and to make money. And I had to unlearn that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always going to say that my health and my peace and my quality of life matters more to me than having a bunch of money. Money is great and I love it, and it does provide us with a lot of options, but not at the sacrifice of my own well-being. It's just not worth it to me. But so yeah, I mean, even as a kid, I always was like making things and selling them, popsicle stick bookmarks and friendship bracelets, and you know, always just having all these little crafty businesses. And I think that's kind of where it started, was just kind of getting into more like the arts and crafts space, which is super fun. And so I've done all kinds of stuff with that. I cannot even tell you the things that I've made. Hats and printed dresses, and I used to like get in on your American Apparel wholesale orders for printing, and soap and stuff with clay, and I mean like all kinds of stuff. But then probably like 11 years ago, 12 years ago is when I decided that I wanted to teach yoga, and then I started really getting into the like health and wellness space. And so I mean, I've done like MLMs and direct sales and all the things. And so yeah, now, and then eventually I went to school for holistic nutrition and life coaching and hypnotherapy, and was like, oh, maybe this is my thing. Like I could do something actually like professional with all the things that I really like. And so I think for a time I've just been trying to, build on that and expand on that. But right now my thing is, which I literally just said, is that I had this realization recently of like, I'm not actively telling people what I do. And so instead of being like, oh, this business isn't working, so I'm just gonna like totally pivot and go do something completely different. I should probably give it a try with like actually being like, hey, I'm Meesh. This is what I do. Nice to meet you. Here's how I can help you. Like actually putting it out there. And so I think that's where I'm at right now, is kind of a like starting from scratch, but like really giving it a full effort.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too in my own businesses, where I talked about this recently, where I feel like I'm not giving myself that full opportunity. Like anytime it slows down, instead of pushing through to that next level, I'm like, oh, I'm bored, I'm gonna try something new. And that is why I've had so many different, I mean, I used to call them projects, but then they became businesses. So it definitely is like one of those things that's really easy to fall into, to be like, oh, well, this isn't doing exactly what I envisioned, and it's not easy anymore.
Right.
So it must not be working.
I haven't hit the jackpot with this one, so.
Yeah, no, and there is something to be said for like persevering and like keep going. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, I feel like you're experiencing that right now with photography, because you've been doing that for a long time, but you've really been like giving a lot of energy to it.
Yeah,
like,
within this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quickly, I would like to have a few questions with you that kind of will be kind of like our format for our guests as we progress, because we do want to be interviewing a lot of people and we have a lot of questions for them. So one of them that I'd like to incorporate is, how would you define success?
Good question. I think for me, success is about quality of life, and I do think financial freedom is important to me, but also like time freedom. So to be able to do something that I really love that supports and serves others in a way that also gives back to me. So not leaving myself out of the equation and being like, no, I just need to give everything to everyone and be poor. Like that doesn't work. We still have to live in this society and play the game.
Yeah, we still have to operate here.
Yeah, and so I feel like success is like a quality of life thing. Like, can I do the thing that I love and still love it even when it's work? and maybe not all the time, you have to do some things that you don't like, but also does this thing that I'm doing and giving so much of my time and energy to directly support and promote my health and well-being?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, so I think for me, success is having the financial ability to provide for myself and my family a way of life that allows me to like fully be present and like alive and not be stressed about money. And I've been in that space for a really long time where I've constantly been like stressed about money, stressed about bills, stressed about debt, whatever. And like to be able to not really like live in that space and be able to afford groceries without having to like check my bank account would be lovely. And like being able to plan family trips without being so stressed like about, you know, is this taking money away from what might be a big emergency, or is this taking money away from what I might need to pay for later? Like just having that freedom, that feels like a good chunk of success. But I do think that it also comes back to your health, because without our health, especially for like you and myself and our types of work, is like our bodies are our tools, and so they have to be like so well nourished and cared for and respected, and I don't know, like utilized in a way that allows for them to continue like longevity. Like that to me is a huge deal. I want to make sure that my body is my biggest tool and it can last me for my entire career. And so that plays into the success too, because yeah, what good is money if I don't have my health? Right. So they're so intermingled and intermixed, but I do think that that financial aspect is not like, oh, I want to make $1 million, or like once I have a huge home, I'll feel fulfilled. It's like, no, I just want to be able to spend time with my family and do things with them without the stress lingering in the background, or like, you know, oh, am I going to be able to pay this off later? Like, yeah, I just want to be able to do the things.
Yeah.
And I will say for you and I, like our paddleboard dates, it's like that is the most liberating financial freedom experience, because it's like money doesn't even matter on the water, and like we get to do that, and everybody else is at their office job and we are on the water, and that feels real, like real special, and like we're spoiled
pirates of the Arizona waterways.
Yeah. So I don't know, there's something about that just being in nature that makes me feel really successful.
Totally. Yeah, it's that time freedom. Also, not for nothing, I do want to make $1 million. Just saying.
I always say that. Yeah, well, when I have $1 million.
Yeah,
and that's real. Like I really do mean that.
And but also like $1 million, like how far will that really get you?
Also, it's not even that much.
I feel like no.
Oh my gosh, I have
to be dreaming bigger.
I do have to share that because so like this year was the year that I was like, I'm gonna make $100,000 this year. I'm gonna do it. And if you break that down per day, that's $273. I think. I would double check that. $280. Let's round up. If you make $280 a day every day for a year, you have $100,000. But then I read on like some New Yorker magazine, whatever, it was like $100,000 is like the new $30,000, and I was like, damn it! Just when I set my goals.
I mean, it's true.
It's
you used to be able to buy a house for like $150,000, a really good house for $150,000. Now it's like
it's my house.
$500,000, or you know, like whatever. It's ridiculous.
That's true. So I don't know how high that goal is now, so maybe we do need to dream bigger.
Let's just start there. Dipping into your pockets for taxes, and so then your $100,000 is like $70,000.
That's true. But you know how I feel about donations. Like I'm like, just donate all the money yourself, and then everything's a write-off. Make sure you keep your receipts.
Yes. That's why having tons of money is awesome, because you have options, which means you can also like do really good shit with your money. Yeah. And we should have a whole episode on our thoughts on money, because I feel like that's really a deep one we could go into. Totally.
Yeah. Okay, well, should we do some more questions that are on our list? I guess we could talk about, well, you brought this one up. What was it like getting started, and like what kind of obstacles did you have to overcome in that process?
I mean, I feel like I'm just getting started right now again. So, I think, like, pulling from that, I think right now it's a little bit different because I've done businesses before, and so it's kind of that thing of like, oh, well, I know what I need to do to get started, and like, listen, I am so bad at the like, create a business plan, create your ideal client avatar, like I hate all of that, like find your niche. Like I do see some value in like that process, but like look, like we just said, like start a bunch of things, find the next thing, and just like change your mind. Like I want to have unconditional permission to change my mind at any time, especially if the thing that I'm doing like isn't working, or it's making me burn out, or it's like taking away from my quality of life. It's like, okay, like maybe this isn't the thing, or you pull back on that thing and do it differently. But right now, yeah, I do feel like I'm kind of in the starting phases, and the biggest thing that I'm realizing is, which is like so frustrating and also super liberating, is like I'm the biggest obstacle.
Oh yeah.
like what is really in my way? Oh, it's me.
It's actually just me.
Because look, I know people that have created like major businesses and built like wild success in money and lifestyle and like all of it from nothing. No education, no certifications, no diplomas, no, whatever. It's just like, I have this idea and I'm just gonna like make something out of it, and I will not ever waver.
Yeah.
And when people are like, are you qualified? They're like, I'm doing it, aren't I?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah. So that, I think the, like, building the belief in myself that I can is probably like the biggest obstacle and challenge that is like really a daily practice. I'm serious.
I know, I believe that's why I'm laughing.
When I'm like, there's like, especially when you look on social media and you're like, oh, there's 5 million people doing the same thing that I do.
Yeah.
And like, and then looking at people like trolling them, being like, where are your papers? What are your certifications? What are your qualifications? Like, listen, Sally, do you want what I have or not?
Yeah.
I'm not forcing you to buy it. If you don't want it, go somewhere else.
Yeah, move along. Get out of line. You're taking up space.
And so like that's my, like building that like belief in myself, and then also that confidence that's like not everyone is gonna want to drink my, I was gonna say Kool-Aid, milkshake, and we're not a cult.
We're not starting our cult yet.
Yet.
Okay? We're gonna get those tax breaks later.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. That's another episode. Yeah, like not everybody loves tacos.
That's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, they're wrong, but it's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How would you respond to that?
It's so interesting because all of my businesses have started organically, as in I'm technically a teacher by trade, right? Like I went to art school to be an art teacher. And I did that for a few years, mostly in private school settings. So I had like this like nice flexibility of a couple of hours a day that I would go in and teach, but then the rest of my time was really my own. And so I would start little projects and I would just do things that I liked, and my hobbies always turned into a business. And that was like nice because it was like, oh, you're really good at this thing, why don't you sell that? And I would say, okay, and I would like put it on Etsy, or I would show up at those markets, or I would whatever, do that. And that was like, even my photography started that way too, right? So I was like, oh, I just like taking pictures, and people were like, oh, will you take this picture? And the very first people who paid me to take photos, oh my gosh, like if I could give them a do-over, I would, because I charged like $50, and I was like trying to fundraise for my first big girl camera. So I was like, if you pay me $50, I'll take your photos, and then when I hit I think it was like a $600 camera, like I'll have my real camera, like an adult. And so I did that, and that was how that started, and that was like all friends and family, right? They wanted to support me, and so that was really beautiful and lovely. And that's how most of my businesses have started. And then you kind of get to the hurdle, which is kind of like where I am now. So even though these businesses aren't new, it's kind of like that expansion process where you're like, okay, my customers aren't just my friends and family anymore. And thankfully it's been past that for a while. Like I do have people who are not related to me that I've taken their photos. But like, it's like the outer layer, and I'm kind of like so visual that I'm like, I want to draw this for you guys, but it would be like, you have your inner circle, you have your outer circle, then you have your outer circle's friends, and I'm at like that outer limit circle friend ring, and I'm like, I need to jump another layer. It's like a little electron.
Yeah.
I need to jump out, right? So I need to get one more layer out, and so that's kind of what my current struggle is, even though that's not a new business struggle. But yeah, I'm very grateful that all of my businesses did start like more naturally and just enjoying what I was doing. And so I didn't feel like I had a lot of that struggle up front. Maybe like logistically, it was like, starting up your website, like just those little things of like getting things done. But I always feel like, yeah, that felt easy to me. It was fun.
Yeah,
So
I feel like we miss too, especially like with selling something that is so visual.
Yeah.
Like when we like miss that part in like in these days, in modern times, where
in my day.
Yeah. Like everything is done online, which is great for like visual things, but also like you still, like you were saying, like what you bring to it is yourself and your personality and like the energy that you exchange with somebody. And so you can't get that from the internet. Like you can't get that without actually like having a conversation with someone or sitting down with them and being like, oh, we totally vibe. Like I would love for you to take my pictures because I just know that you're going to bring out the best of me, or I feel really comfortable with you.
Funny.
Or,
okay. Are we allowed to swear on the podcast?
Yeah. It's our fucking podcast.
It's our fucking podcast.
But like, yeah, I just feel like that, like you don't always get that piece from just, and even like what we post of ourselves on the internet, because we're not posting ourselves in like our most, I don't know, candid states.
Sure. It's
right?
definitely curated. I mean, I'm not going to post my double chin, but like I am going to post. I do like to be authentic, but
no, but probably on these videos we will be like, oh no, we need to find our angles because this is not it. But yeah, like I think there's something to be said for like once you start, it's like your circle of influence, right? It's like if you have 10 people, those 10 people each know 10 people, and then those 10 people, so then you start to like branch out from there. Yeah. And then like it does start to trickle out into that, like where you said you are in like that the big outer circle now. Yeah. But it's like there's still something to be said for like always referral based businesses, always. Like will work forever, no